Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of HerSpace Unscripted. As always, I'm your host, Angela, and today I have a very special guest, a woman that I have had the chance to get to know in a couple of different spaces now. And when I say she inspires me, it definitely is the truth. Miss Jen Blazer, welcome to HerSpace.
Hi, nice to be here.
So, as I said, you, just like most amazing women that I know, wear a lot of hats, ma'am.
Yes, yes, I do.
So tell the viewers what are the many hats of Jen?
So the many hats, let's see, on the personal side, there's the bookkeeping and payroll. So I own the bookkeeping and payroll firm, Top Shelf Services. I also, what do bookkeepers do when they get bored? We start more businesses. And so why not, right?
I call it ADHD. I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, do laundry, start a business.
Why not? It all goes together, right? Actually, in that, it's a t-shirt company. And so there's a lot of laundry with that. And then there's also, I do a lot of digital products, some affiliate marketing, a lot of different things, actually. And then on the personal side, mom. Mom is the biggest hat that I wear. And so it's also mom, daughter, wife. Sometimes he gets attention.
He's on the list.
He's on the list. But it's hands down family. I am mom first and very family centered. So yes.
I love that. And how many babies do you have?
Three.
Right?
3. All consecutive years. Everybody thinks that we are crazy.
Lord, I didn't realize that. I mean,
yes.
They looked like they were pretty close, but I didn't realize consecutive years.
Yes. So 12, 11, and my son turned 9 years old in October. So yes.
Oh my gosh, Jen, how was that being pregnant
for 3 years?
3 years of your life.
Year 1, not bad. Year 2, well, shit, we're in it, right?
Nothing I can do now.
Yeah, exactly. Year 3, we're celebrating the 1-year-old and the 2-year-old's birthday party, and then I find out that I'm pregnant, and it was that one was the game changer for us. I had gotten back to a regular routine. There was really no more diapers. I was hoping for the best, and then I find out I'm pregnant, and the best story I have for that is one time my husband gets home. One daughter is in her room playing, the other daughter's in the playpen, and I'm pregnant. I'm like huge pregnant, right? I can't have wine. I can't have nothing. And it was one of those days, and he comes home, and I was literally sitting in the shower, curtain drawn, fully clothed, no water, with just chocolate icing, just in a moment.
Oh my gosh. Why did I feel that moment to my soul right now?
Exactly. I was like,
this is just it. This is where I'm going to live right now.
No, I can't. Just
zero apologies.
No.
I feel like doing that still. And I'm not even pregnant.
Yes.
That actually sounds like quite a beautiful moment.
Yes. Really great moments. And then there were those. So, yes.
Wow. Yeah. No, I feel you. So I have my 2, and they're 10 years apart.
Oh my
so
goodness.
I mean, starting over was crazy. But 3 years in a row, I don't know.
I know. I think whatever is supposed to happen happens, and having that gap and seeing the people that have kids spread apart, I don't think I was built for that. Yeah. I don't know. It works for us. We thrive in the chaos, and here we go.
No, and that's funny that you say that, because you guys are a sports family too.
Oh, totally.
So, girl, I don't know how. So my son, he plays a lot of sports. But it is just him, right?
Yes.
Because now my 16-year-old, she's driving and she's kind of doing her own things. But I couldn't imagine 3 at one time.
I love it. And you know what? Quite frankly, that is our life. Like, our life is loud, and it's competitive, and it's chaos, and it's on the go. And there's times where my husband one time was like, come on, we got to get up. And I was like, nope. No, I need 5 more minutes. Just no. Right? And then there's times where I beat him up, and we're just going constantly. But honestly, the true support system is the family. The grandparents are at everything. The aunties are at everything. When my brother's in town, he's there. And it is full focus, full energy. We are just wherever we have to be.
Takes a village.
It really does.
It takes a village. Oh man. No, I agree with that. I like I said, I have that gap. Mm-hmm. So I have my son or my daughter says the second mom, right? Like, yes. I have the second mom, and oh man, it's amazing. It really she always laughs because she's like, Mom, you let him do things I could have never. I could have never. And I'm like,
Yes.
well, I was 22 and broken, honey. Like, I'm now 32 and I literally do kids. It's what I do. So I know better now.
Exactly.
So, my bad. I'm glad you survived.
Exactly.
You did good.
So with us, it's not even the kids telling us that. It's us telling our parents. You would have never. Are you kidding? We're both firstborn. We both had our own responsibilities and all of these things. And right now I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
When would that have ever even flied? Like, what are you thinking?
Oh,
And,
yeah.
It's a good experience for them.
Well, according to my mom, it's a different kind of love. And she has no shame in telling me I'm number 2 at this point. I moved down to number 3 6 years ago. And I honestly think I'm number 4 because my brother is number 3.
Oh, of course.
He's a mama's boy. So pretty sure I'm number 4. She'll never admit that out loud as far as me and my brother, but she tells me all the time with her grandkids. So,
There you go.
So... Mom life.
Yes.
Mom life. How do you balance all of those other things? Because you also are something that you didn't mention that I want to make sure I mention because it's one of my favorite things is you're also a co-founder of the association, the women's group.
Yes.
So
Balance.
mom life and all of that. How does that work?
You know what? Balance, and I think that I can say this here, there's no such thing as balance.
Preach.
There is... anytime that somebody asks me that, deep inside, I'm like, it's bullshit.
Yeah. We can sit here and act like it.
Right? But that's not true. There's constant give and takes. So there's always compromise and there's always something that gets sacrificed. And so it's very much like a marriage or any other type of relationship, right? So you only have 100% of anything. And is today you're going to give 50% to the business or your kids? Or is it 20% to the kids because the business takes priority? And which business? And then it's constant give and go. And it's funny that you mentioned the association because we were at something the other night and my son had a baseball game. They get it. We have these conversations. We literally have family meetings and stuff like that to go through, okay, this is what we have this week and whatnot, right? He hits his first home run. Dad recorded it. I made a big deal out of it for him, but I was like, damn it, the balance strikes again, right? And it happens and we make up for it however we can, right? So like we have Good Friday coming up, which is very big in our family, very important for us. So I never work on Good Friday. So that's a day that I can make it up to them. But like I told him, you keep working hard and that's just going to be an everyday thing. And I will be there for everyone cheering the loudest and you're probably going to get embarrassed. So
yeah. Just remember how much you saved embarrassment by me not being at that first home run.
Exactly.
I just want to throw that out there.
Exactly.
I feel like that was a win.
Yes.
Well, so I'm balancing a little of that right now.
Okay.
So up to this point, I don't miss games. I've been really fortunate to figure it out, right?
Yes.
So I added running for county commissioner into the group, right?
Because why not?
Now it's because why not? So now it's a lot of evening stuff, right? I got to get in the community, and that's when community is available is in the evenings.
Yes.
Everyone is working all day. So I've been missing. Tuesday will be the first game that I miss, and my little 6-year-old, he ain't about it. Like he has already told me like then I want you to lose. I said, oh well,
so
okay.
some strong feelings.
I know.
Thanks.
Tell me how you really feel. Tell me how you really feel. But it is like you said, it comes with sacrifice. I used to have a lot of mom guilt. Do you get mom guilt? Because I used to, but not so much anymore.
I used to, and sometimes I feel guilty for not feeling guilty.
Okay.
So, yes, because I'm in those moments and I'm thinking, all right, you have 20 games. I've been at all of them.
Preach.
Right? You're not up with me at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I've really learned how to take advantage of the 5 to 9 and really make that count for me. And I know how to be there for them, but at the same time, I think that it's very important for the kids to understand that no matter what people say, you can't have it all, baby. Yes. Like, unless it is truly what you wholeheartedly are going to give yourself to, but something else is always going to go on the back burner. And even just prioritizing yourself and your own health and your own happiness and everything like that. A couple years ago, I got pretty sick, and it was one of those things where I had to prioritize, do I want to make myself healthy and be there in the long run? Or do I want to focus on the kids and give them everything that I have, but possibly not be there for them when they have children and later on in life? And so I really do think that that's important. And I think how I spend my time now, it's not really the balance, it's very intentional. And I'm very disciplined with how I conduct my life and how I do things. And if I know that I have something over here coming up, I will make sure that I have everything else in place to do that. And they tease me all the time. My friends tease me because you walk into my pantry, and I'm a foodie. So this pantry is like a giant room in itself. You could probably put a bed in there. It's ridiculous. It is ginormous, and I love it. And I thrive in that environment, right? But you go in there and there's a lot of clear buckets, and you can clearly walk in and here's the water bottles, here's the snacks, here's this, here's that. And it's because I have several people in my life and I've learned to accept help. This is a joke, but I'm not joking. I never know where my can opener is. I get one every Christmas. Because everyone has a different opinion of where it goes, right? But you walk into my pantry and I can tell you on the phone, okay, if you walk in, it's on the left third shelf and this is where it's going to be next to. Look there. And it's because I have so many people in my life that are willing to help and they understand what the goals are. And it's a goal as a family is really what it is. And so it's, like I said, very intentional, and there's a lot of meaning and purpose behind what we do. Yeah. And so that's helped the balance.
Yeah. So you said two things that I would love to kind of elaborate on. So,
okay.
Because I'm with you on that. And like you said, I almost feel guilty that I don't feel guilty anymore. But I don't, because it is preparing them. And I've come to like the realization that teaching them that I can do all the things and I can, right? And no matter what, I will never drop the ball, and I will never, and I don't cry, and I'm not stressed, and I'm not. That was just such a false narrative.
Yes.
It was such a false narrative that was really setting them up for failure, because at some point, they're going to drop the ball.
Everything, right?
At some point, yes. At some point, that shit's just going to get real. And they're going to think they're failing at it because mom was perfect.
Yes.
You know? And so I think that's where I was able to really let go of the mom guilt.
I think so too. You know, there's been a lot of times where the kids have come in and it's all this energy, right? Like they come in and it's like
200, girl. 200 all the time. I'm convinced.
And there's been times that I've had to say, I need a break. Give me 5 minutes, or you can come sit with me. I'm perfectly fine with you sitting with me, but I need 5 minutes. Just give me some space and we're fine. And then we'll go. And then we're out on to the next thing. But from a very young age, I was able to teach. They grew up with me working. The whole reason why this business even exists is because I needed something that worked with my family, not me working to fit my family in. So everything is family centered. But they knew COVID was not a problem for us because they already knew. Yeah. And the best part about having that is they got to see me fail. They got to see the rough nights, the crying, the frustrations, all of that stuff. But I was also able to teach them, use your words. Use your words. Nobody's going to be able to think for you, speak for you. Nobody knows how you feel unless you use the words. And expecting somebody to just see you and know that something's wrong is never going to be a reality in life. Everybody's self-absorbed to their own extent. And so part of that, and a big part of what our family dynamics rely on, is you have to use your words. Sometimes I'm not paying attention the way that I'm supposed to, and that is what it is, baby. So they've seen the goods and the bad. They understand. And we've also told them, I would much rather you try and fail or try and stumble and try again and adapt rather than not try at all.
Facts.
So that's where we're at.
That's where you really grow, and that's where you get to, and I think that was turning points that I had to learn. You know, or unlearn, you know, where perfection wasn't a freaking thing, right?
No.
But I think now that I have accepted those things, you know, and I've grown in ways I never imagined.
Yes.
You know, so I agree with you. Like being able to teach them those things at such a young age, you really just said, my daughter is one of the most emotionally intelligent people I've ever met in my whole life.
Okay.
I love it, but I'm also like, damn, I set you up. And not always in the best ways, I feel like, and if I'm being honest, right? Because I've made the comment that being a healed person in an unhealed world is really hard,
I agree with that.
right? And so when I've intentionally made my daughter such an emotionally intelligent human, right? I have equally set her up for success and failure and bullshit, right? Because
Yes.
now she makes me laugh. I mean, she makes me chuckle, but it does make me a little worried because she'll be like, "Mom, yeah, boys aren't it. Like, I
Okay.
just can't. Like, I can't." And I'm
They're
like,
gross, it's okay.
Yeah, she even tells me, she's like, "I am well aware that I'm going to have to date someone much older than me to even be kind of on
Okay.
the same maturity level as me, which means I'm not going to date till I'm probably graduating college."
Okay.
She's like, because that's what makes sense.
yeah.
She's like, because no, I'm not going to be 16 dating a 23-year-old, but I have way more in common with him than the kid that's sitting next to me in class, Mom. And I'm like, I love that for you, you know, but it does make it
does make a
challenging in a
difference.
way,
Yes.
you know? So I love that we've been able to teach our kids such these beautiful, you know, mature ways of thinking and, you know,
Absolutely.
communicating.
Yes.
Because no one does that.
No. No. I mean, even with me and my husband, we're in there. I'm like, I can't help you. And he's like, I don't need your help right now. Well, perfect. And those are words in themselves,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's fine. Do it on your own.
Yeah.
And then there's
Yeah.
that part of it too.
Yeah. Well, because
So-
I think too, like, that's a different relationship dynamic, right? And so you guys have to navigate from, I call it from our little girl and little boy brains.
Yes.
Because that's where we learn relationship, was when we were little.
Little bitty.
So, yes. So those ones will be the hardest.
Yes.
Always be the hardest. And even will be like the most mature and ready and just amazing in these spaces. And then you go there and you're like,
Not
yeah.
today. It's not
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing I wanted to kind of touch on, because you mentioned it, and I know that that's a big struggle for, I would like to say women in general, but specifically successful women, independent women, is that being willing to accept help or even ask for help.
Ooh.
So how did that change for you? Or like, was it an issue? I mean, because I would imagine, I'm not
There's
speaking
control,
for you.
right? There's
But
control.
usually in this group, we
Yes.
tend to have that.
So I learned very, very quickly that intentions are good. Very, very rarely, in my circumstances anyways, very rarely have I had somebody enter into my space and try to manipulate it to their will. They all had a genuine, pure intention to help. And once I accepted that and not, oh, you're trying to be my mom, or oh, you're trying to tell me what to do, or oh, my house cannot be that clean, or I do laundry the wrong way, or, you know, everything fundamentally as a woman is we're programmed to be moms and we're supposed to just know right out the gate what to do. And that's far from the truth. One of the biggest learning curves for me is I did not know you had to teach babies everything. It's like,
What do you mean?
do you mean you can't roll over? I did not know.
You don't just do that? Like,
Do you mean I have to teach you how to walk? Like,
I thought just one day you were going to get up, dude.
Right,
Like, what is going on here?
go. You know, and it just didn't work out that way. So there was a lot of learning curves that I had to go with that. And as we talked about earlier, before we even started this, I come from a Hispanic family and there are babies everywhere. So I figured I knew what to do. Far from it. So once I got over the whole control aspect of it, and really it was more getting over myself and what was best for my children, I learned that if I wanted help, I couldn't control the help. And so I could give some parameters as far as, hey, it would be really helpful if you did this or this for me today. And that gave them purpose and it gave them a reason to return. And it also gave whatever aspect of direction I needed. But the reality is that if I didn't give that direction or if I didn't accept it, eventually the help wasn't going to show up anymore. And that was a big eye opener for me. And once I realized that, the other part to that is I was actually able to focus on the business. If somebody else had the 100% on my children and my house for whatever reason, that allowed me to at least be 80 or 90% locked in the time frame that I had, and it was far more productive and effective. So being able to accept that and give up that control allowed me to then become effective the way that I am now. So that's where I would say that is.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I feel you on that. So one of the biggest things, and I think it may come from the culture, I'm not sure, but one of the biggest things was like having someone help clean my house. Yes.
I like Clorox.
I would fight it like in every way. I was like, no, like I can't, if I can't even clean my own home, like what kind of woman am I? What kind of mom am I? Right? Like just came with this huge like stigma in my head. But what I realized was that I am actually a worse mom, a worse woman, a worse thing, because when my house was dirty, I was pissed.
Right?
Like immediately I would walk home and my entire energy, yes, I was pissed. Like I would get home and my whole energy, my vibe changed. I was mad. You get about 3 solid hours at best with your kids every day, right?
Yes.
And I was pissed all 3 hours because the house was dirty and I was throwing things around in the kitchen and I was, right, like I was doing all the things. And so that ultimately led me to being able to be like, no, I'm going to get help. I'm going to have someone help me. And so when I did that, I was like, what was wrong with me? this whole time,
Yes.
And so gradually, like, I started to be like, okay, well, if I'm not the one that always gets, this done or gets that done, like, it still got done. It's still a thing, and I had to be okay with that.
Yeah, being the okay is probably the hardest part. And there's some things now that I probably still struggle with. Like I would love for my children to have more chores because I grew up a latchkey kid.
Same.
And so when grandmas or when family or when anybody intervenes, I'm like, or really it's more like, and the kids know. By now they know what they can and can't get away with. And they also know that, okay, if that's going to happen, dang it, I have this else to do. So sometimes they'll interject because they don't want to do
my
the other chore.
My daughter's good at that.
Exactly.
Oh, my son.
And actually my
working
son,
on that one.
the youngest one, he's the master manipulator. Oh, he is on it to the point where I'll like pull him aside and I see you. And I see exactly what you're doing. And he's like,
yes. Oh my gosh, them babies. Because my son is the same way. And so he's the little of littles, right? So like the closest sibling that he has is 15.
Oh my
God. The closest cousin is like 20. So like he's the little of littles, right? So he has everyone to manipulate. Like he will play all the cards he can in all the ways he can. And he knows that. He knows it. He gets the smirk going, and I'm like,
I remember that.
And then so like even this morning, he's like, Mom, my brother has the control, this charging station that you can do 2 controllers at one time. Why can't I have that? So I'm like, okay, that's great. What are you gonna do to earn the money to get that? And he was like, when's my birthday? I said a long time from now. And he's like, man, is there a holiday coming up? Because he's over here thinking like, I might be able to bank in some gift cards, bank in some, right? I'm just like, this kid, Jen. But then I also can't be mad because I'm kind of thinking like,
well, he's thinking
Well,
strategically.
that's what I was going to say. I can't knock his little hustle. He's like, well, am I close enough to get it soon or where I don't have to work for it?
I always tell them, you better lose some teeth. I don't know what else to tell you.
Oh, he's really mad he hasn't lost any teeth yet. He's like, Mom, did you know you get money for teeth? And I'm like, I've heard. And he's like, yeah, why haven't any of mine fallen out? All of my friends are losing teeth. And I'm like, maybe you just ain't supposed to have no money. And then he's like, no, Mom, I am. But I'm going to get bank all at one time. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But yes, he is, that is his financial plan. I hope it gets better.
I know.
Birthdays. Yes, birthdays and tooth fairy. That's our financial plan right now. No, but speaking of financial plans, like, so again, reverting back to all the hats, you You have a lot of amazing things that you're showing your kids around entrepreneurship and around hard
Yes.
work and around all of those things. Was that always demonstrated for, like, how did you become this amazing boss lady that you are?
You know what? My parents, so I grew up a latchkey kid, and I grew up in a time where my dad worked for a government contractor. So anytime that the president changed and the political nature changed, his job was always on the line. And my mom, everything was based on education. She has her PhD now, and she worked her way up to where she was when she retired. And both parents are retired now. And what I grew up watching was, you work so freaking hard, and your success depends on somebody else's opinion of your value. And I just could not stomach that. And my dad always would tell me, baby, be better than us. Do better than us. Be better. Always, always, always. And that was just ingrained. And when I started sitting back and watching, yes, there's the doctors and the lawyers and there's all of this stuff, but there was that unique little window that I was able to see, and it was an entrepreneur. And it was actually blue collar entrepreneurs. And I watched everything was men driven, and there really wasn't any woman except for Marcy. Yeah. And I totally own it. I fangirled over her.
Oh, I do too, to this day. Right? To this day.
Yeah. So she was the only one that I ever saw, but for the most part, I watched men. And why is it that the men own the businesses and not women? And how do I become that? How do I fit into that? And I started learning everything that I could about leadership and motivation and entrepreneurship. And I honestly thought that I was going to be somewhere in the hospitality industry. That's where enter Mercy, right? And somewhere in the middle of that, I ended up becoming an accountant and all of that type of stuff and fitting more into that realm. And actually, I'm not even an accountant by school. It's just by education and experience. And so I learned how the businesses operated. And any single opportunity that I had, no matter where I was, I always would say, can I learn? Will you show me what you're doing? Show me how these numbers make sense to you. Why are you making these decisions based off of that? And I'm very, very curious. My childhood nickname is Chiota. And so,
I see why.
Right? And very, very curious and always into something and very mischievous. And you could always tell that my wheels were turning and stuff like that. Very quiet and reserved, but you could always tell that I was listening and I was calculating the whole time. And so that's honestly where that came in from. And once I had the kids and I started the business and I was watching everything, and I thought, you know what, if there was something that I could teach my kids that I didn't get that opportunity to see, I was just told, do better. Yeah. I wasn't really given a direction with it. And that was no fault of my parents. It was, they were in that moment trying to make ends meet and get to where they are now. And so in my mind, it was, okay, if I could set them up, and that's where the t-shirt company comes into play. If I can set them up with a business where they learn the skills now that they can then either keep or turn into something that fits more of their interests later on in life, why not? And if they choose to go corporate, let them, but at least they have this background with that. And that's really where it comes from, is I don't want them to struggle, and I don't want them to have that type. They're going to, I mean, let's be real, but I don't want them to have those hurdles just simply because they don't have the capability or the knowledge, or they never were shown the effort.
I love that. I do have a question though, because since you said that, I feel like I'm stuck in between this space with my kids.
Okay.
Because I too do not want my children to struggle. Mm-hmm. However, I sit here sometimes and I wonder if I'm like, maybe they need to struggle just a little bit, right? Like, how do I make them struggle just a little bit? Because I will be honest, I don't know. I'm stuck in this place of, okay, but is that your trauma speaking? You know? Or is that factual? And I've been reading a lot about like there being, and someone actually was talking to me about this the other day, about there being kind of like 3 levels of children's, traumas. You know, you have the ACEs kids that, Lord, we're trying to help support these kids to not experience those things, right? We have that level. Then you kind of have this medium level of, a pretty balanced trauma life, right? You know, where you had a couple of things that, you know, but you overall had a very, you know, happy childhood. Then you have where I think my kids are landing in this top area, you know, level 3, where it's like, yeah, I'm teaching them a lot of things. And I love that. I love that, you know, they know it's not easy. They know that it's hard work, but they've never actually experienced said hard. You know, have you thought, like, does that cross for you?
Yes. So there's a lot of times, okay, so my children's baseball and softball bags, there is no joke when you see those reels where they're like, oh, I want to be holding a $500 bag. Girl, that's just a bag.
That's the bat.
Not even
one bat.
Yeah, one. And there's one for the batting cages. There's one for, don't even get me started. And then the boys are worse because they can only use this certain bat for this type of tournament because so-and-so bought the rights for it. I don't know. And then over here, everything's a ploy, right? So there's that aspect of it, right? But on the flip side of it, we make them work for things. So it's one of those where my children, they literally have a timesheet with me. So they now know that if they don't clock in, they don't get paid. And the other part to that, my son learned the hard way that just because you're clocked in and watching TV doesn't mean that you get to actually get paid. So it's one with their sports, the effort towards their sports. And they've learned a lot of failure with sports. So it doesn't matter.
Sports, I'm all for it.
Hands down, all for it. And then on the flip side of that, there's the actual money that comes, but there's also, okay, did you put away for savings? Did you put away for taxes? And that's the stuff that I'm trying to teach them right now.
I love that. I love that. So I will be honest, I'm failing at my goal this year. With them, because that was my goal, where I was going to implement something a little bit more intentional around, you know, like, how are we going to earn? How are we going to really document that you're actually working for said money, you know? And so I love that idea. I might actually steal it, because yeah, you know, I'm just in this space with them where I am so thankful that my children don't have to struggle. Yes. I never wanted that. You know, and like you kind of said, like, each generation is just getting so much better, right? That's the point. That's what, you know, my parents, you know, they worked so hard to overcome everything that they had been, you know, the generational traumas and poverties that, you know, existed in that space. And they worked really hard to change that for us. And, you know, I've worked really, really hard to even improve that for them. And so obviously we want that to continue. Yes. But I'm like, now I'm sitting here like, oh, I got some level 3 kids, girl. And I'm like, we gonna need to bring it back down some to 2. Like, where's the chocolate? Where's the chocolate? That's it. I'm gonna have to just start, you know. Right. But obviously, like you said, you know, it's just, I don't like using the word balance because I don't believe in that, but intentionality in it, you know, and just making sure that they're aware, you know, is hopefully, because again, like I love how you put, because sports is it for me. I'm such a huge person about kids being in sports. I think it teaches you anything and everything you need to know about life. Absolutely. You know, because you don't pick your teammates, they pick you, right? And you have to learn to work with them. You guys channel each other's strengths, channels each other's weaknesses. You know, you fail, you have to practice really hard. You know, we talk about, you know, my son's always like, I'm tired. I'm like, okay, well, are you going to be good? Are you going to be great? That's up to you. And he's like, I'm going, you know, and it's like, okay, well, that's up to you, right? It is really up to you, but that's how you get that drive. That's how you know you have to work harder for it. And so I love that. I love that. So as we start wrapping up a little bit, what would you say to the women that are watching? Because, no, hold on. I absolutely have to point out the fact that you literally just said that you're just a badass and you taught and you learned and you know, intentionally got into this space of, you're not even an accountant by education. No. You are an accountant by experience and knowledge and just wanting to do it. You were in Forbes, ma'am. I have to. There's no way we can do this episode without saying that. Because, oh my God, I was screaming from my living room, not even joking, like, I know Forbes. So you were listed in Forbes as the top professionals. How many was it? I can't remember. It was top something professionals.
Okay.
What was it?
So this is going to be something, and I hate the spotlight, and I hate talking about all of these things.
Don't,
I know. I'm like, no. So this is going to sound really funny when I say I forget. But the reason why I forget is because in the last year, I'm going to say in the last 12 months, and this is where I'm like, oh my God.
No.
It sounds so surreal to say it.
Please.
But I've been in Business Insider, Apple News, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Fortune, Entrepreneur. There were 7. There was something else. There's been a lot of things.
Yes, and yes. And that's why I was like, wait, hold on. We are not ending this without celebrating you and giving you your so much well-deserved kudos. Because my God, Jen, like, and I love, and I wanted to specifically remind the viewers that was you, girl.
Thank
you built that, you did that, you decided this is what I want. I'm going to go get it. And man, did you go get it.
I never expected this. And honestly, when I got the phone calls, they just seemed to happen one after the other. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, it's happening. And, I'm a firm believer in my faith, and I stand true with it. And I do believe that, you know what? For those that have been against me for whatever reason or talked behind my back or whatever else, if you truly give all of that to God, He will absolutely build a banquet for you to feast on in front of them. And I didn't seek this. I don't necessarily market it. You're the one that brought it up. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
No, I have to, because you don't. And that's the other thing, right? Is because a lot of times we don't take the time to celebrate ourselves, but we make sure we surround ourselves with the most amazing people that would, because you deserve it.
Thank you.
You deserve it. Like, no. And I tell you, you inspire me in so many ways, because you built that, and it deserves to be recognized, celebrated, and shouted from the rooftops, ma'am, because I mean, I know so many people that are inspired by you and what you're doing.
Absolutely. One part that you got to, or that you haven't gotten to, and one thing that has truly helped me as far as, I think one of the questions was, would you tell other women if they get stuck? And that reminds me of a story that I heard when I first started. And there was a CEO with their child, and they were building a fort. And it was going to be one of those competitions where the oldest kid or the mom was going to judge it, right? So the CEO spent about 10 minutes trying to figure out, how could I do this to beat my kid? Meanwhile, the kid has built the fort. He's grabbing snacks and games and all sorts of stuff, right? he's like, I got this, right? Like this.
Fort master.
Right, exactly. And so the lesson to be learned there is, it doesn't matter where you start. You just have to start. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the plans and everything in place. You just have to start. So if there was anything, and that's where I started from, a lot of this was self-taught. So was it messy? Absolutely. Did it fall? Absolutely. Did I fall on my face? Oh, too many times. But it's constantly moving, and it's constantly adapting, and it's being okay with who you are. And that's a big part of it. So
yeah,
there you go.
Well, I love that. I love that. And again, the most amazing kudos to you. You inspire all of us. And so I am thankful to know you, and I'm thankful to watch you. You said fangirl, Marcy. I am blessed to have so many women around that I am totally fangirls of.
Right?
And you were one of them.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming on HerSpace and sharing and just being a badass. It really is inspiring, Miss Jen.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, do all the things, and we'll see you next time.